My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you live from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody has had a great week, and I hope you're all looking forward to a fantastic weekend. Hi, Amu. Hi, Bakrad. Hi, Ka. Hi, Sammy. Good to see many students in the class. Today, we are looking at an IELTS reading section to get those Band 9 insights. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch. To become a member of our channel, all you have to do is click the join button next to the subscribe button. If you don't see that, or if you have questions about IELTS or about English, you can always send me an email at adrian@aehelp.com. Students, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For your academic IELTS needs, please visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have lots and lots of information to help you succeed in your IELTS exam. Our websites look like this. This is our academic IELTS website here with the blue background. You can click this big red button to join our premium package there. And when you do that, you have a My Student account with lots of goodies. You have computer-based practice exams. You have a full academic course that you can go through. You have exam books that you can download, and then you have lots and lots of lesson videos as well. So lots of learning, and it doesn't cost very much. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. This is the general IELTS here with the green background. You can click that big red button to join us there. All right, students, so we've got a couple of classes. So again, we are doing reading right now, and after our reading class, we will be finishing our listening class that we started yesterday. So we're going to be focusing on listening part 3 and 4, and that's coming up in about 90 minutes, and that will be an all chat class. Everybody will be able to join. Hi Hasna, hi Arda, Harwinder, Chinyere, nice to see many more students in the class. I'm doing fantastic, Chinyere. Thank you for asking. I hope everybody is doing well also. I know some people are concerned, and I've even heard from people in other parts of the world. Here right now in British Columbia and Canada, we've had a lot of rain, so many parts of British Columbia are flooded. Thankfully, where I'm at in Victoria, we are okay for the time being, but the situation has gotten pretty bad in some parts of British Columbia with all the water and all the rain. That's what happens for people living in a rainforest, of course. Tomorrow, members, we will have a question and answer session. It's a Q&A, so that's when you have a chance to just ask me any question about IELTS or English, and we'll go through it, so keep that in mind. And then we'll also have some speaking part 2 for everyone. Okay, let's take a look at today's reading passage. This reading passage is coming from our new exams that we will be releasing a little bit later on. And this here is reading passage 2. Okay. So as we can see, this reading passage starts with the list of headings questions. Many students dread this type of question. They find it difficult. They find they often get the answers wrong. So I'm going to show you how to answer these list of headings questions today, and we're going to do that together. Okay. Yeah, Bakrad, it's not in central Canada, it's western Canada, but you're right. Okay, so this is the title of our passage for the day. Let's take a look at this. A territorial dispute between friends Canada and the United States. Okay, so when you read the title of the passage, that's always your step one. You should do that even before reading the list of headings questions. Even though you see the list of headings questions first, you should read the title first. So step one, read the title, visualize, and predict. Okay, so when you read this title, a territorial dispute between friends, Canada and the United States, first of all, what do you see? Okay, what is it that you see? Hi, Paulo. So one more time, okay, and this is a reading class, everyone, so make sure to read with me, okay? So read, and if you can, read aloud, okay? So that means so that you can hear your voice, all right? Okay, so again, here's the title, Territorial Dispute Between Friends, Canada and the United States. Step one, read the title, visualize, and predict. So what do you see? When you read a title like this, what do you see? Okay, now remember what I said. Include yourself. Make it interesting. Okay, that's going to really help your understanding of the passage, and it's going to help you to remember the information and be able to use it effectively when you're answering the questions. Okay, Carolina says, Canadians and Americans fighting for borders. Sure, Carolina, but where do you see yourself in that? So Paulo says a war between countries, okay? I'll tell you what I see, okay? So I see myself in a meeting with U.S. President Biden arguing about borders and negotiating a deal. Okay, so that's what I see. I actually see myself in the situation. So I see myself maybe in the Oval Office in the White House, and I'm sitting there and I'm having a pretty intense argument, we could say, with the U.S. president. And I'm saying, hey, no, that land should belong to Canada. We were there first. Okay, if you think that's yours, let's talk. Let's make a trade. So we're kind of fighting, discussing, maybe drawing some maps, shading some places. This is mine, okay? So really kind of visualize that information, all right? And then you can predict, right? So you can say, okay, it's probably a fight for borders. And then why? So my prediction is, okay, let me just go. All right, my prediction is what? Fighting for borders. Okay. Why? Because land is valuable. Okay. How? With negotiation, maybe some armies, threats. Okay. Trading. Okay, I'm not sure, but probably in a few different ways. Okay. Yeah, Paulo says maybe for some natural resources, right? Like oil, right? Okay, Baccarat says I'm a Canadian convoy. Yeah, you're maybe a diplomat, right? So natural resources. Oil, sure, why not? All right. Borders, there you go. All right, Arda, just fix that. That was a spelling typo, okay? Asra, that's right, the war between them as neighbors. Yeah, so some heated debate here. Of course, countries that border each other often get into conflict about borders. All right, so step 2 is going back and reading the questions, okay? So step 2, read the questions to get further idea of the passage. All right. Now here's list of headings, okay? So list of headings, read these and paraphrase them as you read them. Okay, this will help locate the information in the passage. All right, so here we have our list of headings questions. So what I mean by paraphrasing, as most of you know, is to kind of say the same information using different words. So here we have the Treaty of St. Petersburg between Russia and America. Okay, so here, if I paraphrase this, okay, I would simply say the agreement, and it's the name of an agreement, of St. Petersburg with Russia and US. Okay, so just like that. So that is I. Okay, and when you're paraphrasing, you're giving yourself a better chance to understand the information. Now, again, when you're doing this at home, everyone, you need to do this on paper, or if you can, do it digitally like what I'm doing right now. And then during the exam, during your real official exam, you're doing this in your head, okay? You don't have enough time to write all of this down. So you just have to paraphrase it in your head, and you have to train yourself to do this quickly before the test, okay? Yeah, Mahi, this is a little bit of a different class setup. I hope you like it, okay? All right, so do this paraphrasing with me, okay? So, fishing and mining for gold in the Alaska Panhandle. Can you paraphrase this one for me, please? Okay, so how would you paraphrase fishing and mining for gold in the Alaska Panhandle? Okay. Buckrat, I think you meant to write contract of St. Petersburg between Russia and America. So the contract. It's more of an agreement. So fishing and mining, it's descriptive, and it's descriptive of industry. Okay, so when you get to the exam, hopefully you're able to paraphrase about as quickly as I just did. So, industry for food and precious metals in a part of Alaska, right? Fishing, mining, forestry, oil, those are different kinds of primary industries. They're called industries, okay? So, industries are when we're being industrious, taking from the land, okay? Paulo, that's very good. That's absolutely another way to do it. So Paulo says getting natural resources from Alaska. Very nice. Yeah, absolutely, Paulo. Good paraphrasing. Okay. Harwinder says fish hunting and excavation for AU in the Alaska Panhandle. Harwinder, nice you use the periodic table of elements AU for gold there. That's good. Yeah. Fish hunting, we usually don't say that, Harwinder, but okay, you're getting a different way to think about it, and that's what's important here, just to be able to think about it. Okay, so the next one here, Indigenous rights in the Salmon Treaty of 1985. First Nations, okay. Many of you hear the word Indians, but we don't really use that anymore. That's especially not in the US or Canada. That's not PC because Indians are generally people who live in East India. and it was a mistake by the people who first arrived from Europe to North America to think that they've arrived to India when they were, in fact, in a completely different place. So we have a few different ways of saying Indian. We say Indigenous or First Nations, okay? So First Nations rights in Salmon Treaty. So First Nations claim to a fishing agreement of 1985. Okay. All right. So you keep going through the list of headings in this way, and you keep paraphrasing the list of headings so that you can think about these ideas, okay? Because these are kind of the main ideas of the paragraphs in this passage. So understanding this type of question is really important, and I'm going to show you some of the next steps so you can get this type of question correct, or at least most of the answers correct, okay? So again, the original is the Treaty of St. Petersburg between Russia and America, and I paraphrase this as the agreement of St. Petersburg with Russia and the US. And then here, fishing and mining for gold in the Alaska Panhandle, industry for food and precious metals in a part of Alaska. All right. Indigenous rights in the Salmon Treaty of 1985. First Nations claim to a fishing agreement of 1985. Okay. All right. So you keep going in this way. When you practice this at home like this, you're also building vocabulary, you're building comprehension, you're practicing your writing, your grammar. So you're really hitting a lot of birds with that one stone, okay? So, Bakra, make sure that you're paraphrasing accurately. So in 1985, the First Nations signed the rights to a salmon contract, or sign a salmon contract for rights to fishing, okay? So, Bakra, you're doing grammatical paraphrasing, which is good. All right, okay. So this is your first step, all right? Let's take a look at the other questions in the passage. Okay, so here, match the following people or peoples with facts about them from the passage. Okay, so we have different groups of people here. We have salmon fishers, we have indigenous people, we have Russian explorers, and we have international tribunal participants. Okay, so we have to figure out which of these statements match with which of these people, and we will learn that from the passage. So all of this information is contained in the passage, so we want to review this before reading the passage, okay? So just read with me. Had various interests with respect to the Alaska boundary dispute. Until recently, lacked a voice in sovereignty discussions. Now, if you don't understand a word like sovereignty, you don't have to worry about it, because maybe that word will become clear in the passage, okay? So, if you do not understand a word in the question, do not worry, okay? It may become clear from reading the passage, okay? So don't worry about it, all right? Okay, 22, the first inhabitants of the land in question. Number 23, made up of multiple nationalities in the region, including indigenous people. Again, you can paraphrase all these at home while you're getting ready to read the passage, okay? All right, and then we have some more questions here. So 24 to 26, complete each sentence with the correct ending, A to F below. Write the correct letter A to F in boxes 24 to 26 on your answer sheet. Novo Arkhangelsk was a Russian settlement located. The battle between the Russian and British, the Alaska Purchase resulted among other effects. Now notice how I didn't really read this correctly. When you see difficult words in the passage or in the questions, especially if it's a name like this, don't get stuck trying to read it accurately, okay? Nobody's listening to you in the IELTS. Read. So nobody's going to judge your ability to pronounce difficult words. This looks like maybe an indigenous word or a Russian word, and I have no idea how to read that. So I'm not going to worry about it. I just go Novo A. It was a Russian settlement located. Okay, I'm guessing it's a Russian word. So, and I have no way to read that accurately. I don't know it. I'm not Russian. Okay, I don't speak Russian. So I just leave that. And then here we have 6 choices. 1, A, 2, B, 3, C, 4, D, 5, E, and F. And here we have 3 questions, 24, 25, 26. So we don't really pay attention to these choices because 3 of them are wrong, and I don't know which 3. So I don't want to read unnecessary information, and I don't want to be confused. When you're answering these questions, you want to think about the answer on your own first anyway. So reading these is just really distracting. Okay, all right, yeah, Buckrat says let's just skip those, okay? All right, now what do I do, members? So I've looked at the title, I visualized it, I thought about it a little bit critically to predict the passage. Then I looked at the questions, I read over them real quick, did a bit of paraphrasing. I don't worry about, ideas or words that I don't understand at this point. It is what it is, okay? I'm not going to learn North American history during the IELTS exam, and I'm not certainly going to learn new vocabulary or grammar either. So I don't worry about what I don't know. I just focus on what I do know. Arda says it's time to read, and I agree, Arda. Let's do that. So it is time to read. Now, whenever you have a list of headings question, you want to read really carefully, because after each paragraph, we're going to stop and answer the question what this paragraph is about, okay? All right, so here we go, everyone. Maybe I can make this even a little bit bigger for us. Let me see. Boom, even bigger, because the text is quite small. Let me just, let's make this really big. How's that? Because I'm guessing some of you are using mobile phones, so the bigger I make it, the better, right? Okay. All right. That should be a little bit easier on the eyes. I don't want people wearing glasses because of me, because of these IELTS classes. So, okay. Yeah, Buckrat says that's better. Awesome. Okay. So let's read together. Again, read with me, students. Don't just listen. We have a listening class after this class anyway, so just read, okay? All right, here we go. So what do gold and salmon have in common? Believe it or not, they are both of the causes of an international boundary dispute that has been simmering for over 100 years and has involved Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia. The story of the Alaska boundary dispute begins with the Russian exploration and colonization of the region from the 1780s until 1867. The Russians had set up settlements such as Novo Arkhangelsk, 1799, along the panhandle of Russian America, the long and thin southernmost area of the region, which bordered British territory at the time and borders Canadian territory today. During the 19th century, Russian explorers, fishermen, whalers, and traders populated the area as it was rich in both salmon and sea otters, the latter of which was an incredibly valuable resource in the European fur trade of the time. The presence of British and American explorers also increased during this time. The Americans had an interest in extending their influence from California northward along the Pacific coast, and the British had an interest in pushing back what they felt was Russian incursion on British lands. Perhaps worst of all, the indigenous Haida and Tlingit peoples were caught in the middle of the burgeoning conflict. Their traditional and ancestral lands would be fought over for over 200 years with little regard for their sovereignty. Okay, so when I read this in the real IELTS exam, I'm going to stop here for a second and I'm going to think. Okay, and this is very important for those list of headings questions, okay, because this is how we decide. What is this paragraph about? So, in a simple sentence, okay, in a simple, concise sentence, what is this paragraph about? So, try to include all of the information. Try to be accurate as much as possible, okay, and be as short as possible. So, what is this paragraph about that we just read? And if you didn't understand every word, that's okay. I don't think you have to understand every word in this paragraph to figure out what is going on here. Okay, give me a sentence. This is really important. It's very, very important for active reading and to get good marks on the IELTS. You have to do this kind of exercise. So you have to be able to answer this type of a question. Okay, so we just read this paragraph. You shouldn't need more than one sentence to answer this. Okay, so what is this paragraph? Okay. So Arda says it's basically telling us the reason of the dispute between US, Canada, Russia, and the UK. Yeah, it's not bad, Arda. I think we could do a little bit better, though, but it's a good start. Okay. So, anybody else? Some other thoughts of what this paragraph is about? Okay, that's what I would write. Okay, Harwinder says all nations try to influence each other. Paulo says interest of each nation in the Alaska region. Okay, Chinyere says I'm just following, not making comments because I'm on duty. No problem, Chinyere. Bakrat says invades Russia over land of Alaska about mining and food. Okay, Gopal. Asra, go for it. This is what I have here. So it's dispute. If you don't know the word dispute, it means argument or fighting. You can say that too. Okay. Or conflict, Mahi, absolutely. So fighting over North American land. That North American land, if you want to be more accurate, you could say Alaska. So fighting over North American land, Alaskan land for over 200 years among nations for resources. Okay, all right. So that would be my concise paraphrase. Because this way we include the timeline. Okay, so we have the time scale. We have nations, and in your mind you can think, okay, Russian, British, Canadian, American, and even the indigenous, right, who were kind of left out from these negotiations or these conflicts in some ways. And why? Because of resources, right? So it tells us what, when, why. So here you can see this is the what, okay? And then this is the where. Okay. And then this is the when. And this is the who. And then, last but not least, this is the why. Okay, so this sentence that I've written here answers the what, the where, the when, the who, and the why. And often in introductory paragraphs, you're going to have lots of information like this because it's giving you the setting for the paragraph, right? Okay. So when you're doing this kind of summarization, let's say, of the paragraphs, try to think about how many of these W questions is the paragraph including and how many are is my summary including, okay? So think about these W questions when you assess the completeness of your summary sentence after each paragraph. Okay, does that make sense, everybody? So I've never kind of gone into that much detail about these sentences that summarize the paragraph. Okay, again, in the real exam, you only have time to do this in your head, but at home, you should definitely be doing this kind of practice on paper as well. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Buckrat. So it's many questions answered in one sentence, okay? And you can do that, so be concise, all right? Okay, Carolina says yes. Okay, everyone, so let's keep reading. We're going to pick up a bit of pace now, so immediately after we finish the paragraph, we're going to answer what it is about. I'm going to answer it, you're going to answer it, and then we're going to move on, okay? So here we go, everyone. Read with me paragraph B. 1825's Treaty of St. Petersburg between the British and Russians set the boundary between Russian America, modern Alaska, USA, and British North America, modern Yukon Territory, and British Columbia, Canada. But unfortunately, the agreement did not firmly set the boundary in the Panhandle region. This ambiguity did not matter for decades. In fact, following the American purchase of Russian America in 1867, known as the Alaska Purchase, the Canadian government wanted to clarify the Alaska-British Columbia border. The American government rejected the proposal because it did not matter to them enough to warrant the cost of such a survey. This all changed when gold was discovered in the nearby Yukon Territory, belonging to Canada, in 1897. Okay, so what is this paragraph about? Okay, answer. Treaties to outline boundaries or borders. Okay. And ambiguity in the Alaska or the Alaskan Panhandle. Okay. Ambiguity means uncertainty or lack of clarity. Okay, it's not clear. All right, and you should be answering these this quickly and then moving on. Okay. Harwinder says Panhandle border vagueness. Okay, Harwinder, that makes sense. It's very simple. Harwinder, I would also add, and some treaties, okay, and some border agreements, all right? Arda says boundaries. Yeah, and if I had to just summarize this in one word, Arda, I would say boundaries as well. Yeah, that would be my one word to identify this paragraph, okay? All right, here we go, everyone. C, the Klondike Gold Rush transformed a simmering dispute into an inferno. Canada wanted a direct route through Canadian territory to the Pacific Ocean to get their gold onto ships and transported to market. The United States, meanwhile, wanted to keep control of the coastal territory. The two sides could not come up with an agreement, and therefore the dispute went to an international tribunal in 1903, a kind of court where a supposedly unbiased group of people would decide the issue. The jury was made up of 6 men, no women, 3 Americans, 2 Canadians, and 1 Briton. Indigenous voices were not heard. The Americans were all politicians, while the Canadians were non-partisan jurists, lawyers, and scholars. And the Briton was Lord Alverston, Lord Chief Justice of England. The Americans and Canadian representatives favored their own government's claims, so it was up to Lord Alverston. To the Canadian public's disbelief, Lord Alverston decided in favor of the American claim. Canada was a British dominion at the time, a partially independent nation with very strong ties to Britain, and Canadians felt betrayed by their colonial government. Canada had lost the dispute but refused to sign the resulting document. Though the decision became international law, Canadians did not endorse it, and the dispute over the region continues to this day. Okay. So, what is this paragraph about? Okay. This paragraph is about a kind of court decision that seemed unfair and favored the U.S. claim to the Alaska Panhandle. Now, if I'm doing the real exam here, everyone, I've kind of made a mistake so far, and it's going to create a bit of difficulty for me, okay, especially because in the real exam I'm not writing down these summaries, right? What is that mistake? So what am I not doing that I should be doing? Harwinder says exploitation of Canada by Britain for gold trade. Mahi says the jury to resolve border conflict, but all in vain. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm almost on to paragraph D here, but there's something that I've done which is not good. I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing something else. What am I missing? Okay, can anybody tell me that? Artist says Canada and the US can't come up with a fair deal, so it becomes an international problem. Okay. Buckrat says Britain supports American government and betrays their colonial nation Canada for this jury meeting. Yeah, Buckrat, I agree. I would just finish that with a little bit more. Yep. Amu says we're not answering the questions then and there. Yeah, absolutely, Amu. So very importantly, we want to answer the list of headings questions after we give the what this paragraph is about. Okay, so answer list of headings questions after reading each paragraph. Okay, so now I have to go back to paragraph 1, And here I have fighting over North America. Now here I'm lucky because I'm just writing this down and I'm doing this at home, right? It would be much more challenging if I didn't have this. So fighting over North America or North American land for over 200 years among nations for resources. So let's go back and answer paragraph 1. So which of these choices is the closest match for that paragraph? Okay, so here we have the Treaty of St. Petersburg between Russia and America, fishing and mining for gold in the Alaska Panhandle, indigenous rights. The dispute is adjudicated. A treaty draws ambiguous lines. An uncertain future for the region's sovereignty. An unheard voice for sovereignty. Haida Gwaii and Prince of Wales. Overlapping fishing claims. A territory desired by many nations. Okay, so which one of these is the best answer? All right, and try not to look at the answers here. Okay, so for paragraph 1, okay, Gopal says U.S. court decision. It wasn't just a U.S. court decision. So which one is it? Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 for paragraph 1. So fight between many nations for a certain region over resources. Which one is the closest paraphrase of all of the ones that you see up here? There can be only one, and I think it's quite clear if you pay attention. Yeah, absolutely. So it's the last one. It's number 10, a territory desired by many nations. And you kind of see that here, right? And so it is that one, okay? I'm going to take out these answers here because then you'll be able to recall them. All right, hopefully you won't be able to remember. Yeah, so it's absolutely X. So a territory desired by many nations. So for number 14, you indicate X in your answer sheet in the paper-based exam, and you're good to go, all right? Okay, for this next one, 1825's Treaty of St. Petersburg, this was what the paragraph is about. Treaties to outline borders and ambiguity in the Alaskan Panhandle. So ambiguity, another way I would say ambiguity is uncertainty. Okay, so that's what the second paragraph was about. Which of the, instead of treaties, you can think agreements to decide the border and uncertainty in this Alaskan region. Which of these list of headings is the closest to that summary? Okay, this is a very important step when you're doing list of headings questions. So first you read the paragraph, then you think, what is this paragraph about? You answer that in a very simple way because that's what these are. These are answers to what each paragraph is about in a very, very simple way. Okay. Okay, and then here, many of you are saying, well, that's 5. A treaty draws ambiguous lines. And we use the word ambiguous. That's a very good hint that that's what's going on here, right? So 5 absolutely looks good. Okay, so here I would indicate Roman numeral 5, and then I would move on. And finally, we're catching up to the paragraph where we are right now. Okay, so here, paragraph C, this paragraph is about a court decision, okay, that seemed unfair and favored the U.S. claim to the Alaskan Panhandle. Which of these is the closest to this kind of court situation or legal situation that seems unfair? Okay. So the Treaty of St. Petersburg, fishing and mining for gold, indigenous rights. The dispute is adjudicated. A treaty draws ambiguous lines, uncertain future for the region, an unheard voice in the battle, Haida Gwaii overlapping, a territory desired. Okay, Armua, Harwinder, and Arda all say that the answer is number 4, a dispute is adjudicated. Yeah, and that's correct. Okay, adjudicated means a legal battle. Okay. Now, even if you don't know the word adjudicated, so some people might be thinking like, I don't know this word, adjudicated, and Arda says, yeah, it sounds kind of like judge or justice. Okay. Take a look at that word. So think about when you're looking at words that might be new, don't panic. English words are constructed. They have a prefix, a root, and a suffix. Okay, so judicate, judge, justice. Yeah, and Arda, you don't even need to Google it because I'm sure that many of you know the word judge or justice. So when you see a word like this, think about, are there any words that kind of sound similar or that I know in English that seem similar, especially in the context, right? Because you know in this context that it's some kind of a court situation, okay? All right, Mahi says judiciary. Yeah, judiciary, absolutely. So judge, justice, judicate, jurisprudence, those are all related. They all have to do with the legal system, right? So you can kind of get the idea that this Jude has something to do with legal acts. Okay. All right, let's keep reading, everybody. So now we know what to pay attention to, and we are going to make sure that we're going to answer the list of headings questions after we finish a paragraph. Okay, let's keep reading. Here we go. So today, there is no gold rush in the region. Rather, there is salmon and a lot of it. Fishing rights are what matter in regards to the Alaska boundary dispute today. Central to this debate is the strait known as Dixon Entrance, which lies between Haida Gwaii, Canada, and Prince of Wales Island, USA. The 1903 agreement tried to settle this aspect of the dispute, but it again failed. Today, the United States claims fishing rights to the midway point between the northern edge of Haida Gwaii and the southern edge of Prince of Wales Island, while Canada claims virtually all of the marine territory south of Prince of Edward Island. Okay, so what is this about? Okay, so what is this paragraph about? Okay, I think it's quite clear, and again, you don't have to really go into too much detail here. So what is this about? Okay, Amu says disputes among various nations for fishing rights. And Amu, it's not various nations here, it's between two, right? So it says Canada and the US. So it's really the US and Canada. Yeah, absolutely, Paulo. So dispute around salmon fishing, and I'm sure many of you know how expensive salmon is, so you can imagine that it's kind of like gold in the ocean, right? Okay, so let's take a look at our choices and let's see if we can find one that is the closest to this. So modern day conflict over the region because of fishing. So what's the closest here? I think there's one that's very, very clear here. Okay. This is for 17, paragraph D. Arda, Norwegian salmon is delicious, but I would say Northern Pacific salmon here is even better. So that's why there's such a fight over it. Okay. Yeah, very good, Amu. Very good, Bakra. Very good, Hasna. Yeah, overlapping fishing claims, right? So that's overlapping, and it's overlapping territory. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so a lot of you have this now. Okay, so you get the idea. You can do it quite quickly when you know what you're doing. Okay, for these list of headings. Okay, we've got a couple more paragraphs. Let's do this. So here we go. Let's read paragraph E. Over the past 40 years, there have been numerous minor skirmishes in these waters. These have been mediated by short-term agreements between Canada and the U.S., the Pacific Salmon Treaty of 1985, for example, but they have never been definitively solved. To this day, numerous breaches of sovereign Canadian territory in the region are reported by Canadian fishers. The American fishers, however, believe they are fishing in their national waters. The Pacific Salmon Treaty expired on 31st December 2019, and it is unclear what will become of the disputed waters. Okay, what is this paragraph about? So I would say that this is kind of an ongoing conflict. So this is a problem that's not solved, right? Everybody thinks, ooh, Canada and the American, they're like best friends. They're like this all the time. Well, even best friends fight. Yeah, especially if those best friends are fighting over something that they believe they both have rights to, okay? What came to my mind was like two guys fighting over a girl or two girls fighting over a guy, right? They could be best friends, but if they have a strong interest in someone or something, then they get into conflict. And of course, here both Canada and the US have very strong interest in this very valuable natural resource, right? Some would say maybe even more valuable than gold because you can't eat gold, but you can definitely eat salmon. Mal says the differences between Canada and the U.S. over fishing territory. Amu says about salmon treaty and its uncertain future. Harwinder says the treaty is neglected by Americans in the past and today it's over. Carolina says that's kind of funny, but true. Okay, Carolina, I agree. So here we go, everyone. Which one of these is the closest match to what we're saying here? So it's kind of an uncertain future. So there seems to be this constant conflict or this constant fight, and we don't have any treaties in place. There's no agreements. So the fishermen out there, it's like a free-for-all is the word here, where everybody is for themselves. It's an anarchy, if you will. Okay. Amu and Harwinder both say the answer is 5, an uncertain future for the region's sovereignty. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I agree. So I would put VI. Yeah, because it's this paragraph saying like we don't know what's going to happen because both Americans and Canadians think it's their fishing land or water, I should say here. It's their region, and there's no solution, especially when we're talking about billions of dollars in industry here. Okay, one more paragraph to go. F. Let's do this. So, here we go. Lost in the friction between colonial powers over the centuries has been the voice of the indigenous peoples of the region. The Haida and the Tlingit have been fishing the area for countless thousands of years. And not only have they had their territory ripped from their hands, but they have also had their ancestral rights to fish their waters diminished as well. Today, the Canadian government aims to mitigate these wrongs by recognizing and formalizing into law Indigenous rights to fish in the area in whatever future agreement comes to be between Canada and the United States. Okay, what is this paragraph about? All right. Mal says maybe they should divide the days between them. It's a nice thought, Mal, but if it were only that simple, okay? It's not the time that just matters there, Mal. It's also the quantity, right? So if we did that, in the U.S., there are a lot of people, right? They might send up like 1,000 fishing boats for that one day or for those 2 days to just take all the water out of all the fish out of the water. So it's a tricky situation. Okay. All right. Barra says Canada formed a decision to give fishing rights to Indigenous people. That's kind of like mine, Bakrat. It's part of it anyway. The beginning of this is the unfair treatment and neglect of Indigenous people in the region and a goal to rectify. Rectify means to fix this. Okay? All right. You're very welcome, my English world. So, which of these is the closest match? Okay? There's one that kind of matches the best from all of these. Okay, Indigenous rights in the Salmon Treaty, not really. A treaty draws, no, we already used that one. Uncertain future, we used that one, it doesn't work here. An unheard voice in the battle for sovereignty, maybe. Okay. Bakrat, Harwinder, and Amuse. 7's the best, an unheard voice. Yeah, the unheard voice is the voice of the Indigenous people. So I think that's the closest match. That's the best match. So I would be comfortable with that as well. So VII, Roman numeral 7, and you're done. All right, everyone. So guess what? We are coming to the end of the class, but we're not done with all these questions. So here's question 20, 21, 22, and 23. You can check these out at the end of the passage. Okay. Salmon fishers, Indigenous people, Russian explorers, International Tribunal. Match these up. Okay. I'll let you do this for homework. And then here we have this finishing the sentence endings. You have the 3 questions here. And you have the 6 choices here. Do this on your own and send me an email with your answers, and I'll send you back the answer key, okay? So you can check the video out at the end for these questions, read over the passage again, and then you can send me your responses by email to adrian@aehelp.com, and I'll send you back an answer key for those last 4 + 3, 7 questions, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. If you want to get all of our reading passages, definitely check out aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Both of our websites have lots and lots of information to help you improve for your next exam. This is our General IELTS website here. Click that join button. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Our academic IELTS website, your My Student account looks like this. The home page looks like this. And again, you can click this big red button to join the premium package. We are an official British Council IELTS test registration center and certified agents. So you are in great hands with us. Students, I will be back in 30 minutes with listening parts 3 and for the challenging parts of the listening section. We're going to listen to the audio, answer questions, and then we're going to go through the answers together. So make sure to come back in half an hour. Fardius, Bakrat, Arda, Jyoti, Hasna, Mahi, thank you so much for your support. Hopefully I'll see everybody soon. I'm Adrian and I'm signing out from beautiful, rainy, wet, flooded British Columbia for now. Bye.